Lifestyles of a leader, that's what you wanna be.
Isaiah chapter 11, starting at verse 2, it reads, "And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. And shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord, and he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked." Good morning. Welcome to Leader Lifestyles. I'm L. Wayne Smalls, and we're here to empower, enable, and enhance leaders to grow. And yes, just in case you haven't noticed, I'm without my partner today, Miss Janice Price. She will not be with me today. We are going through some adjustments, some transitions, just like most of us are today. We are going through a time where we have to make adjustments, and we have to make some changes to our lifestyles that will hopefully protect us and keep us out of harm's way as much as possible. There's so much going on right now with this coronavirus. But before we get into all of that, I want to send a shout out of love to all of our brothers and sisters down in Red Spring, Laurinburg, Lumberton, everyone in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and wherever you are as you're listening to my voice right now. I want to say thank you. I love you. Thank you so much for all of your support. Thank you for supporting the Wake Up team and everyone here at WIDU and the We Do Network. Wes and Sandy Cookman for their vision for what's going on, and just making sure that we keep up with all of the latest information that we have to offer, all of the latest updates. You can get them right here at WIDU. Keep it locked, keep it locked, keep it locked. And for all of you out there that are joining us today, we want to just let you know that we're here for you. And we love you, and we're just here to continually support you and make sure that, again, you have all of the latest information. That's why we are the station for inspiration and information, as well as playing all of your favorite gospel music. And if I had my partner here with me today, I would ask her to guess what's going on today. So do me a favor. I'm going to say, guess what? And I want you, wherever you are, I want you to say what? You ready? Guess what? Wake up! That's right. It's still the Wake Up Show. We're still here, and we're still giving you everything you need right here at WIDU. And for all your latest updates, if you haven't heard, if you haven't gotten what you needed, if you missed something, you are more than welcome to call the station at 910-483-6111, and someone will definitely be available to help you out. Okay? So guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to do what we do best here at Leader Lifestyles. We're going to talk about leadership. We are talking about leadership. And if you don't know, as of last night, the numbers that I saw we're right over the number of 300 cases in the state of North Carolina for positive infections of the coronavirus. I think it was like 306 as of whenever I checked it yesterday. It probably has changed already. But the numbers are growing, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a game. This is not a joke. And for the most part, I think people are taking this seriously. But for those who are still kind of in denial or still thinking that it might not be as serious as everybody is talking about, yes, it is. I'm here to tell you this is a serious thing. This is a pandemic. It is not centrally located in one area. It is spreading all around the world. All around the world. So this is something that we definitely have to keep up with. We definitely have to pay attention, get the updates, and make sure that we're doing all that we can as individuals to make sure that we keep ourselves clean. We're practicing good hygiene. We're doing the social distancing and making sure that at every level, every individual is doing everything possible to prevent the spread of this coronavirus. And I want to send a shout out to all of our leaders who are doing all that they can, all that they know to do to help us get through this situation. And Unfortunately, there's still some people out there that's just really not completely sold on this whole crisis. They're just not really buying into the fact that this is really going on. They're in denial, and that's very unfortunate. And some of them are leaders, so that's why I would definitely be a little concerned about that on a personal level, because this is the time where leaders step up. And I said it last week. This type of event that we're going through right now, this type of crisis, this is the time for leaders to step up. This is the time for leaders to do what we do best, which is to make the right decisions based on the information that we have, disseminate that information as appropriate, and make sure that everyone that we're responsible for, everyone in our sphere of influence, gets that right information and gets the right guidance on what to do to protect themselves and their families. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. I'm not here to scare anybody. I'm not here to talk about the coronavirus all day long. We're going to get enough updates on that. But what I would like to do is talk about some of the aspects of leadership that can help us to get through this crisis, because this is indeed a crisis. And so today we want to talk about how we can become better leaders. And one of the ways we do that is by being good listeners. Are you a good listener? And that is a rhetorical question. And as we go through this today, I want you to really sit back and think about what I'm saying. I'll be asking some questions that I want you to reflect on and really be honest with yourself and say, do I really do this effectively? Am I really a good listener? Am I listening to what the people around me have to say? Am I taking heed to the advice that I'm receiving, the information that I'm getting? Is this good information? Am I paying attention to it? Am I passing it on? Am I making sure that everyone that I'm responsible for has all of this information? So why listeners are more effective leaders? Some people don't even believe that. Some people don't believe you need to be a good listener to be an effective leader. And if you're one of those leaders, I'm here to talk to you today. I want to talk to you about why it is important for us as leaders to be good listening. So number one, understanding people precedes leading them. Understanding people precedes leading them. It's really difficult to lead people when you don't understand them. If you don't understand what they're going through, if you don't understand their background, if you're not really trying to get to know them on a level deeper than surface level, how can you really, really effectively lead them? Why would they even follow you if you're not really invested enough in them to get to know them, spend that time with them, making sure that you are effectively connecting with them? Why would they even follow you in the first place? So this is something that some leaders struggle with. We make sure that we are heard. We do a really good job at that. But when it comes to listening, we kind of struggle with that. But think about this. As we go through this crisis that we're going through right now, we're dealing with the coronavirus. This is a pandemic, something that is going on all around the world. Is it more important to listen, or is it more important to be heard as a leader? And unless you've been through a pandemic before, unless you have survived the pandemic and you have the remedy on how to get through this, I would say that it's a whole lot more important that we listen. Get the information, get the updates, get the recommendations from the professionals to make sure that we're making the best possible decisions for our people. And again, our leadership comes from the influence that we have on others. And if we influence people, they're going to follow us. They're going to follow our leadership, and they're expecting us to give them the right answers. The courses of actions that we take and that we give to our people, they are trusting us that we're going to lead them in the right direction. But you must understand people before you can effectively lead them. Number 2, listening is the best way to learn. Are you an attentive listener? Now, whether you as the leader or you as the person that's following a leader, have you ever had a conversation with another individual? And as you were talking to that person, you can tell as you look at them that they're not even listening to you. They're just waiting for their opportunity to talk and respond back to what you said, where they probably didn't even hear anything you said after the first or maybe even the second sentence. How did that make you feel? If you feel like the person that you're talking to, the person that you're trying to communicate with, is not even paying attention to you, they're just waiting for their opportunity to talk, how does that make you feel, especially when you're the person talking to your leader and you know this person is not listening to what you have to say? If that were me talking to my leader and they're not listening to me, I would feel like they don't value what I have to say. I would feel like they don't value my opinion. They don't value my expertise, because I might be trying to share something that I'm familiar with that maybe they are not. I may be trying to give them some help in an area where I see that they're weak in. But if I see that they're not listening to me, that detracts from how I feel my level of value in that organization or that group, wherever it may be. As I'm talking to this leader, I may not feel valued. And if I don't feel valued, then I may not see any need to continue trying to help this person. And just like when you're the leader trying to share some helpful information with someone who's supposedly following you, and you can tell they're not listening to you, you feel like they don't value what you have to say. They feel you may feel like they're just going through the motions. You may feel like they're not on board with the program. And it just causes conflict. It just causes an unhealthy environment, especially when you're going through a crisis. Going through a crisis is not the time to have to deal with feeling like you're not valued by your leader, or feeling like as a leader you're not valued, your expertise is not valued by the people that should be following you. It's not a good environment, no matter how you look at it. But when you're listening, you're learning. When you're talking, you're not learning. So if you're really interested in being an effective leader, we all should be practicing listening better, and then listening to learn, gathering information, gathering knowledge, gathering wisdom. So I'll ask you again, are you really an attentive leader? Are you really an attentive listener? Number 3, listening can keep problems from escalating. If you haven't formed the habit of listening carefully and intelligently, how will you get the facts that you need? And again, we're talking about problems, right? We're talking about how do we keep problems from escalating? When you can have a conversation with someone who you may be at odds with, or you may be in a disagreement with, if each of you are willing to take the time to actually listen to what the other person has to say, in most cases, you could squash that disagreement right there. That could be the end of it. Most times, people just want to be heard. If I feel like I'm trying to express myself to you, and I really feel like you're making an earnest and sincere attempt to hear what I have to say, I'll be much more willing to listen to you and hear what you have to say. And once we calm down and do that, we can move on after that in most cases. It's just being willing to just be quiet for a minute and let someone have their say. You actually listen and understand with intelligence what they're saying to you. That is a great environment for a leader as well as the person that's following you. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about increasing our ability to lead others. And one of the ways we can do that is by listening. And when we listen with intelligence and we listen carefully, we can eliminate problems. we can come to an agreement. We can move on and continue to progress in whatever it is that we're trying to do, whatever we're trying to accomplish. We can get there because we took the time, we value one another enough to listen to what we had to say. Number 4, listening establishes trust. Listening establishes trust. Listen to what Mr. Brian Tracy had to say about this. He says, listening builds trust, the foundation of all lasting relationships. When you're willing to listen to someone, you are building trust with that person. They feel like you trust them enough to express themselves, and in turn, they will trust you enough to hear what you have to say. You will begin to bond because you're learning one another. You're spending time together. You're taking that time to understand the other person. You're walking out of your shoes and stepping into somebody else's shoes and trying to see things from their perspective. And when both parties are doing that, there's a relationship being built, as well as the trust. The trust level goes up tremendously. How much more effective is your leadership when you have earned the trust of your people? I can tell you from firsthand experience, they will do whatever you need them to do when they trust you. When they know, like, and trust you, they'll go above and beyond anything that you ask them to do. And they'll be glad to do it. And this is what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. This is exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about increasing our ability to lead others. And think about this in the context of what we're going through right now with this pandemic here. Isn't it nice when you're a leader and you can tell people this is what we're going to do? This is how we're going to do it. And then once we get that established, we move on to the next step and they just go with it. You don't have to have a lot of pushback. You don't have to have a lot of people questioning your authority, questioning your decision, questioning your decision-making process. Why? Because you've taken the time to listen to other people. You've received input from others who may know a little bit more about certain things than you do, and you value their opinion. You value what they have to say, what they offer, what they bring to the table, and they want to do their best to help you. That's what leadership is. So how can you make sure your followers know you are listening to them? What are some of the things that you can do as a leader to make sure that people really see and understand that you are indeed listening to what they have to say and you value what they have to say? Number 5, listening can improve the organization. Do you believe that? Listening can improve the organization. I will tell you that 9 times out of 10, leaders who take the time to listen to their folks, especially when they have their team of leaders around them, their subordinate leaders, junior leaders, people who they trust, who have leadership positions within that organization under their leadership, when they're all working together, when they're all listening to one another, when the information is flowing upward and downward and from left to right, the organization thrives. The organization is successful. It doesn't matter what type of organization it is. It could be a church. It could be in the military. It could be at a Fortune 500 company. It could be at a nonprofit organization. This works. Listening. It works. So here's something that you can do as a leader. If you are really serious about improving your level of influence, improving your ability to lead others, here's something you can do. Give yourself a listening audit. The next time you're in a meeting, ask whoever it is around you, your trusted agents, your inner circle. Ask them to track how many times or how many minutes you spend talking versus how many minutes you spend listening in that one meeting. And see what kind of feedback you get. Here's another one. The next time you're in a conversation with someone that you work with or somebody that you live with, When they're trying to talk to you, stop everything that you're doing and give them your undivided attention and look them in the eyes as they are talking to you. And then ask them if you've neglected to listen to them in the past, and let them talk to you. Let them tell you how good of a listener you are or are not, how good of a listener you have been or have not been. And you have to be willing and ready to receive that feedback. Now, don't ask for that feedback if you're not ready to get it. But this is where we grow. This is an opportunity as leaders for us to grow when we do things like this, doing these audits, asking for input from those around us that we deal with on a regular basis, asking for the feedback that's going to shed light on some areas where we might be weak in and don't even know it. Leadership doesn't mean you know everything. That's one of our problems. A lot of us think we know it all. You can't tell me nothing about this. I know all of this. Well, if you know all of that, then you don't need a team of people. You should be able to run it all by yourself. But you can't run it all by yourself. You can't do anything great all by yourself without anybody. So enlist those people that you have around you. They're there for a reason. They're there to help you. So enlist them and get their feedback. Find out some of the things that they see about you that you can't see for yourself. They can look at your blind spots for you and let you know what you're doing well, what you're not doing well. And again, we're talking about listening. Are you really listening, leaders? Are you really listening to what's going on right now? Are you really taking this serious? Are you really looking out for the best interests of your people? Especially if you have an organization where people are still going to work, where you're still interacting with people in the public. Are you really taking all of the measures that we've been recommended to take? Have you done that personally, individually, as well as have you done it for your organization? Have you made provisions to ensure that everybody is being as safe as they possibly can be? Are you listening? Are you taking the advice and the counsel from those around you? Are you taking the advice and the counsel from our leaders, our governmental leaders? Are you taking this whole thing serious? And if you're not, I would say, look around. Look around. The numbers are steadily increasing. The numbers of positive cases are going up. And it's not going to change for some time. The numbers are going to keep going up for a while. So I implore all of you leaders out there to make sure that you are listening effectively to the guidance that you're getting outside and inside your organization. Listen to your subordinate leaders. Some of them may have expertise in areas where you're weak. They can help you. They're there to help you. Let them help you. This is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, we are still talking about leaders. We're still talking about becoming better. We're still talking about helping our communities to develop and grow. And we will grow past this crisis. This is not permanent. This is a temporary thing. For how long, we don't know, but it is temporary. We don't have to be scared or afraid and walking in fear, but we do need to be smart. And leaders, you are spearheading the way with that. We're doing a great job, but we can always do better. When we feel like we've arrived and that we don't need any more training, we don't need any more growth, we don't need any more development, that's when we stop growing. And you cannot pour from an empty cup. So let us all work on becoming better leaders, becoming better listeners. I know I need to work on that myself, becoming a better listener. I'm working hard at that. And we all need to do that. All right. So with that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is Leader Lifestylez. Welcome back to Leader Lifestyles. I'm L. Wayne Smalls, and this is the portion of the show where we normally would get a wonderful mind power moment from Miss Janice Price. But since she's not here today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I will do a highlight, and I want to share this post that I had. I got this from social media, and I thought it was very appropriate for the time that we're going through right now. So listen to this. It's entitled, "A Post from a Pastor." I trust God, and I wear my seatbelt. I trust God, and I wear a motorcycle helmet. I trust God, and there are enough life jackets in my boat for everyone on board. I trust God, and I use oven mitts with really hot dishes. I trust God, and I lock my house at night. I trust God, and I have smoke detectors in my house. I trust God, and I take my prescribed medications. I trust God, and I will follow the best guidelines to share the task of flattening the curve. Acting with caution and wisdom does not indicate a lack of trust in God. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, saints and friends, that is my version of a mind power moment. And I think we can all use this and apply it to our lives right now while we're going through this crisis. So I hope you heard this and you take it to heart. Yes, we are people of faith. We are believers. And there's nothing wrong with exercising caution. And again, we are going through a pandemic, a world crisis right now with this coronavirus. It is very, very serious, and each and every one of us need to do our part to make sure that we are taking it as serious as it is. So welcome back. This is Leader Lifestyles. I am L. Wayne Smalls. Miss Janice Price is not with me today, but we're moving on. We miss her, and we're wishing her the best, and hopefully we'll be back on together next week. And we're providing you with all the latest updates and information of everything that you need to know with the coronavirus, as well as everything else that's going on in our communities. And today we're talking about leadership. As we continue on with the rest of our life, we do have to continue to live. Leaders, we're stepping up because this is what we do in times of crisis. We step up. This is why we work so hard to be ready. Being in a state of readiness means that when a crisis occurs, we don't then have to try to get ready. We're already ready to go. We're already ready to whip in the shape and move into action and make the right decisions that's going to be the best possible decision for everyone around us. And in the first half of the show, we talked about leaders becoming better listeners. By being better listeners, we can increase our level of influence and our ability to actually lead others. And now we're going to talk about something else that I think is very important. A leader's first responsibility is to define reality. So leaders, what is your definition of reality? As a matter of fact, what is your definition of reality today? In the state of emergency that we're in right now, what is your definition of reality? Because listen to this. You cannot define what you don't see. You cannot define what you don't see. In other words, if the coronavirus 19 epidemic is not a crisis in your mind, then there's no way in the world you're going to take the proper action to protect your people or yourself for that matter. We have to see things the way they are. So I ran across some rules from a guy that many of you probably know, Mr. Jack Welch. He used to be the CEO of General Electric. And he was also known as the CEO of CEOs. That's how bad this man was. He was a very good leader, very well respected, and a mentor, a great mentor to a lot of successful people. But this is what Mr. Welch shared in one of his books, and it's called this portion of the book is called The 6 Rules for Successful Leadership. I want to focus on the first 5, but these are rules for successful leadership coming from Mr. Jack Welch. The first one is this: control your destiny, or someone else will. Control your destiny, or someone else will. Think about that for a moment. Destiny is in your own hands until you give it to someone else or they take it away from you. But right now, you have the power to control your own destiny. Now, for those of you that try to get all deep on me, I'm not talking about living for God or not. I'm talking about what you do as an individual being led by God. I'm talking about what you do on a daily basis that will help you to become a better leader so that you can lead people to their own success while they help you achieve your success, versus someone else who just does not make the right decisions, versus someone else who will willingly give away control of their destiny to someone else. But you have the power. You have the power in your hand right now to make a decision. I'm going to control my destiny. I'm not going to leave destiny in the hands of someone else or something else. Coronavirus 19 is something that we're going through right now. This is a pandemic that is happening to us right now, but it won't always be here. This world has survived a pandemic before, and it probably won't be the last time a pandemic happens to this world unless Jesus comes back first. So we can get through this. We actually have to see past this. As leaders, we got to look past this and see where we're gonna be when this thing is over. What would our mind state be as a people when this pandemic is over, when it's ended? What's next? Are we gonna be reduced to rubble, or will we be able to continue to thrive and move on? We have that control. We cannot allow fear to cripple us to the point where we stop living. Life goes on until your life is over. But God has the last say in that. So in the meantime, what are we doing to ensure that we steer our lives and the lives of the people that follow us into the right direction? Are we doing that? I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know about you. I won't speak for you. I will speak for myself. I'm going to continue to live until there is no longer any breath in my body. I'm going to continue to strive to be the best person I can be, the best leader that I can be, influence as many people as I can before I leave this earth with the help of God. What about you? Number 2, face reality as it is, not as it was or as you wish it were. Let me read that one again. Number 2 is face reality as it is, not as it was or as you wish it were. Reality is just that. It's what's real right now. We can't think about what worked yesterday. We can't think about what we wish things were like. We have to focus on what it is. We say it all the time. It is what it is. That's reality. How you deal with reality determines if you'll be successful or not, if you'll be able to continue to lead or not. And let me throw in a caveat real quick. When there is a crisis, such as the one that we're going through right now, a world crisis, this is a picture of a test that will determine if people will continue to follow your leadership once this crisis is over. Your leadership right now, today, is going to determine if people continue to follow you when this crisis is over. We need to think about that one for a moment. How effective is your leadership today? How strong is your leadership today? Is your leadership strong enough that people will be glad to continue following you when this crisis is over? But we have to face reality. We can't live in la la land. We can't live in this fantasy world where we say, okay, this is going to be gone and things will be back to normal next week. No, I don't believe that's the case. But your leadership can be the very thing that will help people survive this. Or your leadership could be the very thing that lead people right into destruction. So ask yourself, what type of leader are you? How is your leadership today? Look yourself in the mirror and see if you're living in reality or if you're living in la la land. Number 3, be candid with everyone. Be candid with everyone. In other words, as you face reality, you have to then in turn relay that same reality to everyone that follows you. Everyone you come in contact with, they need to get the real from you. They need to get the real deal. What's really going on? What's really happening? The truth of the matter. Not what you wish it would be like, not what you think it should be like, but what it really is. This is the message that we have to relay to the people that are relying on us for answers, the people that are trusting us to make the right decisions, the people that are trusting us to tell them what to do. There are some people right now that don't know what to do next. And the next thing that comes out of your mouth, leader, could be the very thing that saves them or sends them into destruction. Being candid, being honest with yourself and with others. Number 5, change before you have to. I love this one. Change before you have to. Change is coming. Whether you like it or not, it's coming. It's coming. And we all have to deal with it. There are 2 things in life that we all have to deal with as long as we're living. That's time and change. We all get 24 hours in a day, and we all have to deal with change. Those that hide from change, those that run from change, those that live in denial about change, those are the ones that hurt the most when the change comes. So it's better to get ahead of change. It's better to be proactive. It's better to be ready and prepared for it and start moving in that direction so that when it's happening, it's a whole lot less painful. It's easier to deal with. It's easier to manage. So when you change before you have to, you're making some moves that's going to set you up for success when the change actually takes place. And let's be honest about it. When change comes and we don't want it to come, we do everything we do to fight it off, but it comes anyway. It hurts. So when you're changing only because you have to, you're being made to, something happened to you, now that you have no other option but to change, that's painful. That hurts. Very unpleasant. And as leaders, we're supposed to be forecasters. We're supposed to be able to read situations and forecast certain things that may be coming down the pike and be able to prepare for those things. That's what we're supposed to do as leaders. That's not something that just, oh, by the way, this is something that we ought to think about. No, we are supposed to be able to forecast certain things. We are visionaries. We're the ones that see things before everybody else. We're the ones that can see certain things in the future. And I'm not saying that any of us should be fortune tellers and be able to predict the future, but I'm saying we see things. We can have a visual of something that we see in the future of how something should work or how something should go, or maybe something that may be improved. We see those things. And as we see those things, we should be able to forecast some of the things that could potentially stop that from happening, something that might prevent the growth from happening. We can curtail that by taking the proper actions and the proper measures. That's what leaders do. Come on, leaders. We out here. And we want to make sure we take care of our people. And number 6, if you don't have a competitive advantage, don't compete. And that was number 6. And I did say it at the beginning of this segment that I wanted to focus on the first 5, but I also think number 6 is important too. If you don't have a competitive advantage, why would you compete? What are you competing for? And in this case, and let's apply this concept to the pandemic. We have a competitive advantage. We want to live. We want to survive. And the way we survive this pandemic is by slowing down the number of cases that are coming up positive, slowing down the spread of this virus in order to allow the healthcare professionals and the hospitals to have the supplies that they need without being overwhelmed by so many cases. If we can keep them numbers down, that would allow for people that are really at the highest priority of necessity of help, they can get that help. But we all want to survive. That is our competitive advantage. If we didn't want to survive, why would we even bother taking the measures to stay safe, to stay healthy? Why would we even bother to put limitations on things that we do right now? Why would we worry about good hygiene? Why would we worry about self-quarantining if we suspect that we might have come in contact with somebody who was positive? Why would we go through all of that? It's because we want to survive. And the way we survive is by using that competitive advantage of wanting to live, that will put us in the mindset that we need to do all of the things that will protect us, that will keep us safe, that will keep our loved ones safe. And it starts with you, leaders. It starts with us. We have to lead by example. We have to show what right looks like. And I'm sorry, but it's not okay to openly defy leadership from our government officials, whether it's at the local level, whether it's at the state level, whether it's at the federal level. When we openly defy them and say, I don't care what they say, I'm going to do this because of whatever. When we openly do that, guess what? We just set a bad example for other people to follow. Now, I know everyone's not going to agree with that, and that's okay. But I'll tell you this. I believe, and I will continue to say this until God shows me different. But I believe that along with the faith that I have in God, I also believe that He's given me wisdom. I also believe that He's given me common sense to think, to use my mind, and not put myself in a dangerous situation unnecessarily, and then not set a bad example for my children to follow, not to set a bad example for other people who look at me, for them to follow. I have to keep in mind that I'm a leader. People that see me, they see a leader, they see leadership. So I have to set an example for them to follow. I have to set a good, positive example for them to follow. Not only that, but I need somebody to show me where it's okay for a Christian to disobey the law and do something else. I don't think that's right. That's just my opinion. I'm not trying to debate that with anybody. I'm just sharing my own thoughts. I'm sure everyone has their own thoughts with that, but I just believe that with faith there has to be some wisdom and some common sense. You know, people talk about Daniel being in the lion's den. Well, guess what? Daniel was put in the lion's den. He didn't just voluntarily walk in there because he just felt like walking in there. He was put in there. The 3 Hebrew boys, they endured the fiery furnace, but they didn't just volunteer to go in there. They were put in there to be put to death. And because of their faith and their belief, they were spared. But the thing was, they were practicing something in their faith, but they were placed in these positions of danger. If you don't have to be placed in a position of danger, why go there? And if that was the case, I don't see too many people jumping in lion engagements at the zoo. I don't see too many people, jumping in the middle of a school of shark. I don't see people jumping out of airplanes without parachutes. So we have to exercise common sense. That's really all I'm saying. Let's not put ourselves in situations that we don't need to be in and then carry other people with us because they following us. That's what I'm saying. Let's be good stewards of the leadership that we have. So moving on, I want to share this with you. Vision does not equal fantasy. I'll say that again. Vision does not equal fantasy. If you are an optimist, as I am, because I am an optimist, then you naturally encourage people, as I do. I try to do that all the time. Then you may need to take extra care to look reality in the eye and keep yourself grounded. In other words, sometimes when we're optimists, there's that possibility that we can kind of slide over into fantasy land. Well, we want to make sure that we don't do that. We want to make sure that we're staying in touch with reality. Yes, we have goals. Yes, we have dreams. Yes, we have ambitions and aspirations. And we should dream big. But we got to be careful that we don't slide into fantasy land. So here are some things that will help us to stay away from that. The situation. It is often worse than you think. Again, think about the COVID-19. A lot of people have been blowing this thing off, but it's getting more serious by the hour. And think about this too. The numbers that we hear, they're probably actually higher than that. We're only going off of the number of people that are being tested. What about those that are not being tested that are actually positive? So the situation is often worse than you think. The next thing is the process. The process, it usually takes longer than you think. Some people think we're going to be on lockdown for a couple of weeks and then get back to business as usual. I don't know about that. But the best thing we can do is be prepared to go beyond that. We need to be prepared physically, emotionally, psychologically, financially, every way. We need to be prepared just in case this crisis lasts longer than we're thinking that it will. And then the price. The price is always more than what you think. People are dying, ladies and gentlemen. And I believe to my heart that our leadership right now today can help people to spare their lives if we set the right example, if we send the right message, and we enforce those things that we're saying and really stick to our leadership, stick to our moral principles, and continue to be optimists, but doing it in a way that we stay in touch with reality. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all I wanted to share with you today. I hope I said something that really will stick with you. And listen to this quote from Peter Drucker. It says, "A time of turbulence is a dangerous time, but its greatest danger is a temptation to deny reality." Keep that with you as you go through the rest of your day. It's been my pleasure. I hope to see you next time. And next week, I'll have my partner back with me, Janice Price. Send a shout out to her. Y'all take care. God bless you. And see you next time you're taking another glimpse into Leader Lifestyles.